If it hurts, game breaks, no get you know it up, put on more speed. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. Ball, obstacles, block, cut, sides, do the games after this win it is. Rush you again, here's where the first made. Carry everybody, keep it every 6 minutes.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Unbelievable place. Great university. Knoxville's unbelievable city, great people. The passion for football is even greater than I thought it would be. And man, Neyland Stadium, I said it, a couple of years ago, and I still think it's the best football experience for a college football fan or a player in the country.
Just look around. You got the mountains, you got the most beautiful city in the whole entire country. The university is absolutely, looks like it's out of a storybook. It's just beautiful. People are incredibly genuine and extremely nice. It's just a place that obviously I'd want my kids to go to school. And it sells itself. You don't have to sell anything about this place. You just got to get them here. The old field of dreams. Yeah. Build it and they will come. It's already built.
In this league, there are no off days. I don't care who you're playing against. I mean, you have to bring your A game every single day. And we have to have that type of chip on our shoulder when we go in there. And we can't go in there and think we can start slow. All right, we got to start fast, we got to finish fast, and we got to keep putting more gas on. So.
Do you remember when we fell in love? I remember, don't worry. Do you remember? I remember how it all began. How could I ever forget? It's the first time. Do you remember? I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it coming in the air now. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it. It's coming in the air now.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Billy. It's Thanksgiving Eve. Joining me as he does every single Wednesday night, the man with the greatest mini helmet collection in the history of mini helmet collections. Dauber, what's going on, buddy?
What's happening? Happy Thanksgiving to you, Boogie, and everybody else out there.
What are you looking forward to tomorrow, my man? What's your go-to? Don't tell me turkey. Don't tell me any of that stuff. What's your go-to? What are you looking forward to the most tomorrow?
Man, just I guess the biggest thing is getting to spend that time with the family, hanging out. The older I get, the more I take that stuff in. It's special. It means a lot because your friends, your family, they're not around forever. So we're only given so much time. So we got to enjoy what we got.
And you get, once you start on Reels, it becomes an addiction. And I was one of these guys that made fun of Reels, and now I'm a guy that's addicted to Reels. And one of the ones that popped up one time was something along the lines of, I'll give you $1.5 million. Would you take $1.5 million if I offered to you right now? Of course I'll take it. Now the only caveat is you don't get tomorrow. You can have $1.5 million, but there is no tomorrow. all of a sudden then it becomes, nope, I'll pass. I don't need $1.5 million. So guess what? Tomorrow is worth $1.5 million to you. I thought that was an interesting way to look at life. X Factor, the Hallmark movie answers are gone. They're done. I'm talking about food. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving tomorrow, but what are you looking forward to consuming? Because that's what we really want to talk about.
Oh man, like I said, turkey, like I said, beans, greens, tomatoes, lamb, ham, hog, mogs. I say if you know where that clip came from. But just everything, man. Just turkey, just green beans, mac and cheese, and just like what Dob said, man, just overall of it, spending time with family and get to spend the actual time because like you said, tomorrow is not promised and you never know when it's our time. So you got to take that time seriously, spend time with your friends, family, and just be thankful for life in general, man. Just take it all and just enjoy it.
Man, everybody is full of heartfelt, sentimental answers. Matt, if Tennessee plays like they had the last 2 weeks, I'm going to wish that this is my last Thanksgiving. What about you, buddy? What you got big plans tomorrow? Are you excited for Thanksgiving?
You know it, man. It's just going to be us and the kids tomorrow for the first time, I think, maybe ever, which is going to be really fun. We're new here to Georgia, so I'm not traveling, which is awesome. Smoking a turkey for the first time tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm that guy that really loves the cranberry sauce. I think that's one of the most controversial, Thanksgiving. And we got the wrong one last week, and I had to go scramble last night in Kroger and go find one. I think it was the last one on the shelf. So pretty excited about that, can of cranberry sauce, but you got to have it with everything else.
The kind that you roll it out of the can and it still looks like the can. That's the one you're talking about?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, man. It's Vanderbilt week when we're talking about cranberry sauce and turkeys and tomatoes, but we're going to talk a little Tennessee football tonight. You guys come on in, hang out, smash the thumbs up, share out the link, all that fun stuff. We would appreciate it. Let's see who's hanging out in the chat. G Styles was here bright and early saying GBO. Dylan Elam is here as well. What's up, my friend? Adam Huckabee is here. Says, what's up, everyone? Just bought my Cult of 8 shirt. If you're new around here, you don't know that the cult has been divided because, look, we are a cult. Like, this isn't a community. It's not a family. We are a cult, and it has been divided because somebody is trying to separate us based on the number. Cult of 8. Cult of 8. You can check out that merchandise, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. I know I've ordered one. I know Matt's ordered one. I don't know if anybody else has ordered one or not, but you can get them at bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. So thank you, Adam, for picking that up. The links are in the description. You guys want to rep a sweet Talkin VAWLS shirt like Xavier's wearing. Look at that. That's a clean design. But we appreciate that, Adam. Thank you for the support. My friend G Styles also becomes a member of the channel. Shout out G Styles. Appreciate that. Shot by Andrew for 2 says, what's up, man? What's up, man? What's going on, Andrew? Good to see you in the chat, my friend. Wade is here. Wade has that tattoo that's on the front of X Factor shirt on his body. He says, happy Thanksgiving, guys. Hope it's a good one. GBO, also been a member for 2 years. Appreciate that. Wade says, about to throw a turkey on for 14 hours. Stay live? You want us to stay live for 14 hours? I mean, we could do it like we do NCAA night. I mean, every hour we'll up the price. We'll see how much money we make in the next 14 hours. Ron the Don is here for $10, says the last week of the regular season. So let's go, Dorfy, engage. Appreciate that, Ron the Don. Something that me and Kane say on the regular basis, Dauber, is you only get 12 of them, man. And sometimes they don't go your way. Tennessee, last couple of weeks, kind of laid an egg. Still got to look forward to this game coming up on Saturday. It's Senior Day.
Yeah, that's the big time. This group of seniors has been through a lot, and hopefully they've kind of set the table and set the foundation for this program to kind of return back to the level that I know we grew up watching them compete at and play at, and the relevancy that the University of Tennessee really had within the sport of football. As fans, we owe a lot to these guys, a lot of thanks, and I know we get on here in the raw emotion right after some of those games, especially the last couple of weeks, and we can be critical a little bit of these guys, but man, they're out there giving their best, giving their all for the T on their helmet, and they're playing a game they love to entertain us. So like I said at the top of the show, tomorrow is about hanging out with friends and family, and it gives you a little bit of perspective. These games really don't mean a whole lot in the trivial aspect of life and all that when you've got all the things you have going on in the world, but it's a good escape from that sometimes. So, it's always a good day to be a Tennessee Vol, and even on those days that they come up short. Basketball team came up short the last two evenings. Played
And tonight.
some tough competition in the number 1 ranked team and the number 2 ranked team. Football coming off of playing Georgia. It's all for fun. And we have fun getting on here and talking about it. So this group of seniors.
The sky's not falling. The sky's not falling on Rick Barnes.
No.
I thought the season was over. Everybody told me that Rick Barnes is done. We got March Rick Barnes, and it's only November.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Wait. So we get November Rick Barnes in March.
In
Hey,
March.
let's do it. Let's do it.
Hey, let's talk about Senior Day because it is Senior Day coming up on Saturday. And Dauber mentioned it, man, this is a group that's kind of laying the foundation, right? These guys, some of these guys chose Tennessee. Some of these guys could have transferred out, and they chose to stay here. They chose Josh Heupel. More importantly, they chose the University of Tennessee. So let's take a look at the roster. Who is somebody, offensively, defensively, I don't care. You guys can take this and answer it however you want to answer it. Who's a senior that stands out to you? And I'll go first and give you guys time to kind of think about where you want to go with this. And I'm going to take a weird one. I'm going to take a weird one that a lot of people are going to be like, oh, here we go. Here goes Boogie. I'm taking Joe Milton.
Yep.
And the reason I'm taking Joe Milton is because this dude's been through the fire, right? He's a guy that he chose Tennessee. Spoiler alert for Locked On Vols coming up on Friday. He chose Tennessee twice. Not once, but twice. He chose to transfer here from Michigan. Things didn't work out. He got benched. He could have easily transferred out. He could have easily said, I'm done playing college football. I'm going to move on with my life. But guess what? He chose Tennessee. He came back for his 6th year. And, yeah, this year didn't go the way that Joe Milton wanted it to go. We all know that. I'm not talking about as a football player. We can question his ability on the field. We can question, his leadership abilities. That doesn't mean he's less of a person. And I think one narrative that I want to continue to push this week, I've been pushing it. If you're in that stadium, if you're in Neyland Stadium on Saturday afternoon when Joe Milton's name gets called and he runs through that tee for the last time, I encourage you to make a little noise for Joe. Don't be negative. Look, it is a game. And I understand what Dauber's saying, but also the 4 of us, everybody in this chat, we eat, sleep, breathe Tennessee football all year long. Boogie, why don't you cover basketball? I don't know. Go look how many views VolQuest got for doing the post-game show on basketball. That's why I don't cover basketball. We eat, sleep, breathe Tennessee football. Joe Milton gave his all for Tennessee. Make some noise for him on Saturday. So that's who I'm choosing for my guy, this senior that stands out to me. What about you, Matt? Who stands out to you on this football team as a senior?
The one I hope really comes back to start that trend, the one and only Coop, man. Cooper he's a family guy, first and foremost. We talked about that already. And if you listen to the Vol Club Confidential with him, he talked about he came in, he was the younger brother of all the guys that are now in the NFL. And he's finally got his own time to shine, and we didn't have him early in the season. But that dude is give his all for Tennessee every game, whether he was healthy or not. He's the foundation and the rock of that offensive line. And he's a lineage guy, right? And I think we all appreciate those guys that come through and follow the lineage of their family. And it's just been the next guy to fall in line. I think there's so many guys to talk about, but if we're looking into, which I believe will probably be the next thread of this conversation, because of all these guys that have that COVID year, right? One of the most important ones we have is Cooper, but you talked about it in all off season too, how important that center position is to Josh Heupel's offense. And he's been the rock and the foundation of that whole offensive line for the time he's been here. So he's the one that stands out to me.
What about you, X? Who stands out on this football team to you? By the way, shout out Stingray. Yes, I only do videos to get views and to make money. That's why do you go to work every day? Do you go to work for free? Do you go to work for no reason? I go to work to pay the bills. So, yeah, I'm not going to take time away from my family to cover a sport that people don't watch. I'm going to cover recruiting, the transfer portal, and Tennessee football. And if you like it, great. If you don't, VolQuest has you covered. Don't worry. What do you got, X? Who's the senior that stands out to you?
So I guess I'll switch to the defensive side of the ball. And I highly doubt because he might go to the league, but Tyler Barron, man. Like, if you want to look on the defensive side of the ball, as far as, like I said, just coming off the edge there, like Tyler Barron, dude, he's really, really shown his colors this season. And like I said, he's been really, really productive for us. So like I said, I don't know. It's a doubtful thing that he might come back. But even if if he goes off to the league, I mean, that's completely fine. I mean, yeah, the money's there. Go for it, young man. But if he does decide to come back, if he has a COVID year, just to come back and to be one of those leadership guys on the defensive side of the ball, because I think that's something that we still need as this football team going forward. But yeah, I think he's the one guy that stands out to me.
Walter Davis, retired Navy and law enforcement. Thank you for your service, Walter. And who you pulling for coming up? Army or Navy? I'm going to go Navy. Did you see those alternate uniforms? Navy. I go to church with a couple of guys that served in the Navy, and they were posting them on Facebook. I love what they've turned that game into, right? It's always been a special game. I'm getting totally sidetracked by Walter's comment. But I love the way they kind of, the alternate unis and the way they present that stuff. I love it. But thank you, Walter, for your service. Let me hit a couple super chats and we'll get Dauber's answers. Scotty Hurley's in the chat. What's up, my friend? Says, go Vols. Excited to see our pieces of the future get more run. Hate Georgia fans more today than yesterday. It's Nico time in Tennessee. Timothy McGee is here. Drops a $10 super chat. That is not cheap. We appreciate that. Says, what's up? And always use less wide receiver. I almost feel like this is a joke at this point. Timothy shows up and throws money at me every single live stream to talk about option routes. He says, let's do more timing routes and throw to a point. And always let's quit asking for assistant coach's head. That's a popular thing to do, though, Timothy. The popular thing to do is ask for somebody to be fired, although I think we may be one assistant short after we wrap up this year. Dauber, what do you got, buddy? Have you been researching the roster up there and putting some thoughts together?
No, I was going to throw out some names of some guys that are hurt right now in their senior year, and hopefully they in Brew McCoy and Spraggins. Pilley did not do a whole lot for us this year, and there's potential that he may get a medical year. But you think about guys out there like that have given of their health and their body and put it on the line and come up and gotten hurt. Hopefully some of those guys, like X said, it's hard to keep track of who's used, medical red shirts, who's still got COVID year left. That's one of those that I've not found anywhere that really tracks that extra.
Man. Somebody should have made a video about that. If somebody would have thought to make a video about that and talk about all the COVID years available. Oh, you can check that out. I posted a couple of weeks ago. You guys go back and watch it, and we're going to get into that. Sorry, Dauber, I had to make fun of you there. We're going to get into COVID here in just a second. I'll post the names in the chat. Sorry, I cut you off for the sake of a joke that probably wasn't even really that funny. So go ahead.
No, I just there are a lot of guys that are deserved of a little bit of praise and just thankfulness for sticking it out. When Coach Heupel took over, we had 33 guys hit the portal. So they did stick it out with this team that they committed to. We've had some guys transfer in, but it is good to see these guys getting their last run and potentially maybe not. So
yeah, I think that's one of the most interesting things, Dauber, is we talk about what this recruiting class turns into in the transfer portal, but Josh Heupel's maybe most important thing is to see which guys can come back, because the list that we're looking at here is so long, and it's crazy to think that there's so many players that still have those years available. But we go through here in just a minute, but there's some big names on here, Boogie, that obviously would help out this class and help out this team for the 24 season. for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a fun topic, and we're going to do some hypotheticals here because it's Vanderbilt week, right? It's Vanderbilt week, so why would we not talk about hypothetical things? Timothy for another 2 says, "Go Army, beat Navy, and always go Big Orange." Oh, we get a little armed forces rivalry going on in the chat. I'm here for it. Let's talk about COVID years because I thought this would be a fun little fantasy draft hypothetical type question. So you're the coach. Here's what you get. You get a COVID player, one on offense and one on defense. So the list that I just put to you guys in the private chat, you can pick anybody on that list that's on offense and anybody on that list that's on defense. Now, I do think there is one mistake on the list. Omar Norman Lots Jr. So he's coming back regardless unless he goes to the draft. So juniors, just go ahead and assume they're automatically coming back. Jalen Wright, go ahead and assume he's automatically coming back, even though he's likely off to the NFL. But you get to choose a guy on offense that you are guaranteed that you can bring back and a guy on defense. And now we're going to take it a step further. We're going to rebuild this roster for 2024 because it is an interesting time. Like Matt just mentioned, you know, you got to recruit your guys. You got to recruit high school guys. Now you got to go recruit guys in the portal. So I'm going to let you guys give me a guaranteed starter. We're not going to talk names because nobody knows who's going to be in the portal. You get one position on offense and one position on defense in the portal. Do the rules make sense? I'll go first in case it's a little confusing because I just came up with this right before we went live as something fun to talk about. Because when I look at the roster for next year, I think the running back room is going to be loaded. Even if Jalen Wright does go off to the NFL draft, I think Jabari Small's coming back. I think you're either getting Jalen Wright or Jabari Small. If for some reason Jalen Wright decides to come back for another year, I think Jabari Small likely uses that COVID year, but he transfers somewhere else. Bottom line is you're going to have I think you're going to have Jabari Small, Dylan Sampson, Cam Seldon. You got another three-headed monster going into 2024. Running back is locked down. Quarterback, we know Nico's going to be the guy. Wide receiver, I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by seeing Caleb Webb and Chaz Nimrod step up. I'm encouraged by seeing Dante Thornton, once they slid him to the outside, really start to emerge. So I think whether you got Nimrod or Webb on one side, Thornton on the other, Squirrels in the slot, I think your skill positions are locked down. Now, where I start to kind of balance things around here, what do I want to use? Tight end position. You're going to be very thin. You're losing McCallan Castles and Jacob Warren both. But I'm going all in on the offensive line. My COVID guy is going to be Cooper Mays, and then my transfer portal player is going to be a tackle. I don't care if he's a left tackle or a right tackle. I'm bringing in an offensive tackle in the portal, and Cooper Mays is my lock to come in on offense. Let's just go through offense first, and then we'll jump into defense next. Matt, who do you got? Who is your returning portal or returning COVID guy, and then also a position in the portal?
Well, since you took Cooper already, I like the skill position, but what we've seen, all year long is that how important the big receiver is to block, right? And especially with the type of offense that Josh runs, I'm going to take Brew to come back and be that outside receiver to help Nico, especially as a leader. And then on the portal side, I'm going after that tight end. We don't have any depth in that room whatsoever. We got a freshman, and we're hoping we get the Sali Apaga kid from the 24 class. But other than that, we have one scholarship tight end. So the tight end.
Yeah, that's such a hard balance for me because you're right. That tight end room, it is depleted, absolutely depleted. And one of those guys in there, in Emmanuel Okoye, what's he played? Less than 2 years of football? Like, I don't think you're going to be able to count on him next year. And, we've seen how physical the league is. We know how physical the league is. So that's a good choice there. Scotty Hurley for another 5 says, I have to give a special thanks to Brew. My favorite Vol right now. His return would be huge for us next year. It's Rome Baby for $2. Nothing to say, just a tip in the tip jar. We appreciate that as well. X Factor, take it wherever you want to go, man. Just because we said Brew and we said Cooper, you can go wherever you want to go with it.
Like I said, well, from this list, I'm gonna go with Gerald Mincy because, like I said, I think we talked about from this season that he's been playing pretty good football, and that he feels pretty comfortable at that left tackle. So I would have him come back for the left, and then I'll kind of piggyback off what you said, Boogie. I kind of have to go to the portal for another lineman to play the right tackle. But Gerald Mincy is a big key, I think, because also if you have Cooper coming back, so I said you got your center coming back, that's really good. But Gerald Mincy, man, you got to give credit where credit's due. Yeah, he's been playing pretty good football this year.
What do you got, Dauber?
All right. So what I would like to see is a package deal where Coach Hype and Glenn Ellerby and whoever else it takes gets all these guys in a room and says John Campbell, Cooper Mays, Javonte Spraggins, Gerald Mincy, Dane Davis, Jackson Lampley. Hey, you all need to come back.
That's the beautiful thing.
If you got eligibility, you come back because Nico is going to be our quarterback next year. We're set skilled position. Maybe need somebody tight end, but man, you get experienced guys on the offensive line that know the system, know what they're doing. That's a big thing. I could say look to the portal for tight end, like Matt said, but I would actually kind of save my portal. And I know you can pick up whoever off the portal as long as you don't exceed your roster limits. But I'm thinking potentially look at linebacker with my focus on the portal. But I think if you can go to those guys on the O-line that have eligibility remaining and say, listen, we need all the experience we can get. And if you get 2, 3, 4, multiple guys that commit to come back, it could be a special year next year. I said, I think this offense is going to, they did take a step back this year. I think with Nico at the helm, there's potential for it to be really, really good. My only pause is what's the status of that offensive line. So you convince some of those guys to return, man, that's a win before the season starts.
How did Dauber just talk for 5 minutes and didn't answer either question? He didn't give me his portal guy or his COVID year guy. He just said, give me the entire offensive line for $500, Alex. That's how Dauber answered the question.
He said, give me the NIL package deal.
It was a good answer though, Dauber.
Yeah, it was a good answer, but he didn't answer the question. But it does bring up a good point. Like, what's the number? Like, when I look at that offensive line, I think I'm going, man, set the line at 1.5. Do they get over or under that number?
Over.
Gosh, does Cooper Mays want to play football, right? Because, Matt, you mentioned the Vol Club Confidential. What a great – gosh, I love that show. I told AP when he was on here, I was like, that's the best Tennessee content on YouTube, period, hands down. I love that show. John Campbell, the fact that he's beat up right now, does that play into it? The same thing with Javonte Spraggins. Like, I just don't know. I think Spraggins is gone. Is gone. Can you convince Campbell? Can you convince Cooper? Those are the two big ones for me.
I think Spraggins has earned the right to be gone. He's played well. He's going to get picked up by somebody. Yeah. Cooper is interesting because his size doesn't super translate to the NFL. He's great in this system. It's the question, does he want to play? John Campbell, his tape is not going to be what he wanted it to, and he's been in and out of the lineup. So realistically, I could see him come back. And when he's been healthy and played, he's been pretty good. I mean, the offensive line, if you look at the deficiencies of this team and the offensive side, it's definitely not been that line, right? I mean, it's one of the best running teams that that Tennessee's ever had, and it starts up front. So I don't think it's that's been our issue by any means. It'd be great to have those guys come back.
Yeah, they're still second in the league in rushing, and I don't have the exact numbers. Milton's not been sacked a lot, and when he has, he holds on to the ball too long, right? I mean, we all know that. That's part of it. And then also you look at 2024, Nico's really good in the pocket, man. Good pocket awareness, his escapability. It's Rome, baby, for another $10. Says that was my first super chat. I just came to say I've never missed a show. Well, we appreciate that. Said I could easily see this show on the radio. My pops played on the 98 team, and I always have him watch with me. That is awesome. I would love to know who your pops is. If you don't want to put it out there, that is perfectly okay as well. But thank you for the super chat. Thank you for you and your pops tuning in. Dauber got all sentimental earlier talking about family and all that type of stuff. We have the conversation on the regular basis on this channel. We all love Tennessee football, but the real things, the real memories, what it's all about is who you take in Tennessee football with, right? Like so many of the wins, the big moments that I've experienced in Neyland, the first thing that sticks out is who you were with, right? Like my first ever game with a mutual friend of mine in Daubers, no longer living on this earth. I'll always remember that. As embarrassing as this sounds, when the kick went through and they beat South Carolina, when Butch Jones was the coach, I was there with my wife. I was there with JP and his might as well be his wife. Like the four of us sitting together, season tickets. This kid, man, he couldn't have been He was under 18. And he turns around and he's looking at the ground. He's like, man, I just can't watch. I said, nope. I said, you're going to turn around. And I said, you're going to watch this go through the uprights, and you're going to remember this moment. I'll specifically remember that. Seeing the streak end, being there with Dauber. Like, you remember who you're at those games with. So the fact that you and your pops have that relationship and he jumps on and watches a little Talkin VAWLS, I love that. Wade Rouse for 5 says, I stood by John Campbell's family at the ball walk the other day. Sounds like he is coming back more than likely. NIL and Coop is back. Same for Mincy. You know, I hung X out to dry because I think Mincy's a redshirt junior, but that he was on the list from that Hubs put out. So I wonder if it's a list where these guys have a COVID year, meaning Mincy could technically play next year and the year after. Because is 2025 is when it would expire, right? Because you could technically be a redshirt senior and still have a COVID year because you were here in 2020. So I bet that's what it is. So I didn't translate that accurately, but regardless. Let's see.
Still be huge. Still be huge, though. Let's
move over to the defensive side of the ball. I think Omar Norman Lott is the only one on that list that's a junior, I think. So let's same one. Dauber, I'm putting you out first, and you're not giving me a BS answer. You're going to answer the question correctly this time. Give me a guy on the defense that you're going to use that COVID year on, and then what position would you use the portal for?
I think based off of the small sample size that we saw, Keenan Peely is a guy that I'm kind of going after and saying, hey, you only got a couple games here in Knoxville. Didn't even get a chance to show out. But he's another one of those guys that, does he want to continue football? It's one of those things after transferring from BYU here. And then portal wise, I think I'm going, again, we've had issues on the back end, specifically, in the secondary. I'm looking for somebody to come in and strengthen that. I'd love to get like a stud, just a shut down, lockdown corner to come in and shore up one of those sides. That would be that'd be where I'd look is linebacker with Peely and then portal for secondary.
Scotty Hurley for another 5 said would be surprised to not see a lot of folks return. No reason Campbell, Coop, Peely, and Brew aren't back. Barron, Wright, and Spraggins definitely gone. I think that's a pretty good list. I think Barron, Wright, and Spraggins are, especially Jalen Wright. I mean, what more does that dude have to prove? I mean, you're going into the Vanderbilt game averaging as many yards per carry as he's averaging. He is off to the NFL. But, yeah, I think that's a pretty good list. Scotty, thank you for the super chat, brother. X, what do you got?
Well, I've already mentioned Tyler Barron earlier because, I still think Tyler Barron is a big, real big defensive piece. But let's talk about Elijah Simmons, man. Like I say, he's actually been playing pretty good football this year, too. Like with piggyback off what Dauber said, too. Yeah, I feel like if you get another guy to have another guy right next to him, like I said, you're going to have a pretty stout defensive line. So, but Elijah Simmons has been pretty dang good.
Where are you going in the portal? Oh, you're going portal defensive tackle too?
Yeah, defensive tackle.
I got you. What do you got, Matt? I'll let you go next. I'll go last.
Sure. So I think the theme here is defensive tackle. I'm going OT, Omari Thomas. I think he's just such a Tennessee guy, and he's played super well for us in the passes he's been here. And then I'm going linebacker to help. Right, we're going to be super young at the linebacker crew next year. I think the athletes are there, but having experienced, big linebacker to come in if we don't get Peely back would be where I would go.
Django Apple, why are you insulting me? I don't understand how I'm naive. Why do I never know what's going on in the chat? I'm just getting insulted and don't even know why I'm getting insulted. So behind on what's really going on. Well, tell us, Django Apple, what's really going on? I would love to know. Because I have no idea what anybody's talking about. Man, I think all three of you guys are right. Linebacker and defensive tackle. That's the answer. So what route do you choose to go? I think we've got a dude. Man, nobody's really wrong. You tell me Omari Thomas or Keenan Peely gets to come back. I'm down for that. I think Keenan Peely. Keenan Peely's a guy that I think this is the route they're going. I think he was scheduled to come back. November, late October, November. I think he specifically sat out. I think they've already had the conversations. I think Keenan Peely already knows what he's going to do, and I think he's coming back. And I like it because look at the studs that can play the will position beside him, right? You put Keenan Peely out there at the mic, let him be the leader on defense, and then you run Arian Carter, Jeremiah T-Lander, Elijah Herring, whoever the best player is, which I think we all are in agreement who that is. But I think that's just so beneficial to you. And the fact that Keenan Peely has been able to sit in that linebacker room, learn the defense, learn from Aaron Beasley. I'm going him coming back for a COVID year, and then I'm hitting the portal hard and heavy for that defensive tackle position. Let's roll it right along. I thought that'd be a little something fun to talk about, something a little different to get into. Let's go backwards. Let's go recap the Georgia game. Any final thoughts on the Georgia game, Matt? I know you weren't on here with us. You were actually at the game. Tell us what was that experience like, and just what were your takeaways coming out of another beatdown?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually with Scotty Hurley, who's been in the chat. So what's up, Scotty? To the start of that game, you couldn't ask for a better start. Couldn't ask for a better environment. I mean, we were pretty high up, and the stadium was literally shaking. I mean, it was incredible. I think it broke the Neyland Decibel record on Wright's touchdown, 137.6 or something. I mean, an incredible atmosphere to start. And then Georgia was just Georgia. I mean, we were worried about it. I think I heard you talk about it all week long, how much red we see in that stadium. There was way too much red there. And Georgia fans travel, and they are the most annoying fan base. I live in this state, and I can agree with you there. I got barked at all week last week. I got barked at Monday morning when I went back to the office. But, at the end of the game, Boogie, my brother called me and Scotty, and we were on the phone, on speakerphone. You could hear it. That's how quiet it was. I mean, it was completely opposite from the start. But Georgia was a better football team. They just were, and all assets of the game. And there were guys we didn't even know names of that made their appearances, and you can just see the depth and the talent of that roster and how they get developed. Eric Kane said this week they play 10 times out of 10. You probably take Georgia all 10. I would too.
Yep.
It sucks, but they're the standard of the league, and that's who everybody, not just Tennessee, but that's who everybody in college football is chasing. But the atmosphere was there. It was full. It was packed. It was loud. We just didn't perform, and and that is what it is. And then Georgia fans are just like you said before. There's no good ones. I have relatives that are Georgia fans, and I'll tell them the same.
I got to hit this because Django Abel said that I'm out of touch, and then he's talking about funneling in offshore money to fund NIL. Sweet Moses. Get out your tinfoil hats, boys and girls. What in the world? Scotty drops a $2 super chat. Says Peely isn't back. Have to get linebacker experience 100%. How crazy is this? This makes me feel so old. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Jermaine Copeland's son is in the chat. Dauber, I guess, Matt, you included in this too a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you? Are you our age? You're younger than us.
Just maybe by a year. So I'm 38. I'm not that much younger than you.
Yeah, you're a couple of years younger than me and Dauber, but that right there makes me feel old. That Jermaine Copeland's son is watching our YouTube stream. Oh, life comes at you quick. Shout out Jermaine Copeland, man. What a dog on that 98 national championship team. Timothy McGee for 2 says we need O-line and D-line too. I agree, Timothy. Says also a fullback and a tight end. A fullback? What are we going? Are we going back to 98 for real, Timothy? Or is this NCAA night? Boogie's got the fullback out there running the power eye.
I will throw this out here. All you guys went D line as we need the. Do you not trust the man coaching the D line a little bit more than the coach of the secondary, who in my opinion I think is going to get let go? I think the guy coaching up the front line on the defense is the best in the country, and that's in good hands. He's going to take whoever he's got and mold them and shape them into formidable players on that defensive line. We need some big time help in the secondary, I think.
Well, if you were going to make a change on this coaching staff, is there anybody that you would get rid of. Is Willie Martinez the only one? Of course, Tim Banks coaches the safeties. Willie Martinez coaches the corners. I think Brian Jean-Marie's a good football coach. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it right now. I think Tim Banks is a good football coach. I got annihilated the other day for saying that I think that Tim Banks is going to be a head coach sooner rather than later. But I do truly believe that.
I'm right there with you.
I think
Yeah, I'm right
Martinez
there
is
with
the
you,
only.
too.
I think Martinez is the only guy, and I think he's done. You know, the fact that he's the only guy that doesn't. You know, his contract expires, and I can't remember if it's January or February. I think he's probably out the door. Does that impact recruiting? You got 4 kids committed in the class of 25, and 3 of them are corners.
It could a little bit, but I mean, but even in the secondary, I mean, you still have some studs getting ready to come back. I mean, like I said, Terrion McDonald, I mean, he's made plays for us this year. I mean, you got Brandon Turnage, Warren Burrell, and Danico, especially in Danico Slaughter. I say that's definitely some talent there off the corner. And then Gabe Judy Lolly, man, like he came as a transfer here. So, but yeah, it's just it sucks, but it is what it is. But no, we definitely got to improve in the secondary area. And see, we all thought that this season we were like, all right, we're gonna be looking good. Nah, we need to find a new coach for that secondary unit, and we just got to get better.
And they were at one point playing better. But again, how much of that is complimentary football? Because
Right.
the defensive line kind of fell off as the season went on too. And, at one point, pass defense was the middle of the road. Right now, you're almost 90th in the country. That ain't good enough. That ain't good enough. I don't care if the defensive line's not getting home. You got to make plays.
You saw it. You saw
ahead,
it
Matt.
all day Saturday. I mean, we just
Yeah.
could not cover anybody in man. I mean, straight
Yep.
man. They
Mhm.
tried to zone and it didn't work. They jumped back into man, and God love his soul, but Nico Slaughter got picked on all game long. And we just could not guard in man, and then I think Scotty's put a chat in here too. We just need more athleticism in the back end, right? And it's just, you can see that the reads are slow. The foot speed is just not the best. The safety position, and some even the corner position. So I think if you're going to revamp something, that's the revamp, is the secondary leadership, but also some secondary players. So, and I do, Dobber, to answer your question, you definitely trust the defensive line coach more than anybody. But there's a potential that you're losing a lot of dudes off his team in the middle of that defense. So.
Yeah, and they've done such a better job recruiting at the edge too, right? All the young studs are at that edge position, and rightfully so. Had a conversation with James Clausen talking about NIL and how you utilize your money. He said, "Look, we want a quarterback. We want guys that can protect the quarterback, meaning offensive tackles, and guys that can get after the quarterback, edge rushers. Like that's the model for rebuilding this Tennessee football team right now under Josh Heupel." Scotty drops a $5 super chat. Says, thanks to Jalen McCullough, but excited to get more athletic at safety. I hate that dang barking, man. McCullough's a guy that I think a lot of us are ready to see move on. At the same time, this has probably been the best year Jalen McCullough's ever had. Not that he's played perfect, not that he's played great, and he doesn't have SEC speed, but he probably played the best senior year he could possibly play. But, yes, you can upgrade that position with one Boo Carter. Timothy McGee for 5. How much is it Martinez, and how much of it is players thinking that they know more and wet behind the ears? I say 50-50. Well, if you've got a player that think they know more than the coach, well, then I say that leads to coaching too, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you think for 1 second that Omari Thomas looks at Rodney Garner and says, I know more than he knows? Not a chance. No chance on God's green earth that Omari Thomas looks at Coach G and says that.
When we repeatedly have the issue of guys not turning their head, that can't be just a coincidence with every single guy not turning their head. I think it's a coaching issue, and I think that it's part of Martinez's philosophy. I think you saw it his first go around here at Tennessee. Apart from a couple of guys, Brian Randolph comes to mind. One of the guys on the back end that really excelled when Martinez was here the first go around. But that was the big time weakness a couple years ago, and has continued to plague this team is especially at the corner. And as Matt said, we can't put those guys on islands because either they're not good enough or they're not getting coached up enough with technique, and the discipline's not there. which, if you're not getting home to the quarterback, and they're allowed to run around and pick you apart, at least guard somebody. And, how many times have we got PIs, because we've been beat. And that's why I think that's one of the bigger issues on the defensive side of the ball moving forward for this team.
Got 180 people watching on this Wednesday night, Thanksgiving Eve. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Do us a favor, smash the thumbs up, quick, free, and easy, whether you agree with what we're all saying or you disagree, you hate us, you don't like us, you want to argue with us. Do us a favor and hit the thumbs up or hit the thumbs down. That's fine, too. You can do that. And make sure you're subscribed, dialed in for everything coming your way. Click that bell for notifications. Going to be live on Friday morning. Myself, Coach Jay, Coach Rice, going to take one last look at this matchup between Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Also, probably going to talk a little recruiting on Friday morning. Then moving into next week, what happens, Boogie? You don't cover basketball? You don't want to do a live stream with 13 people watching to talk basketball? Hey, we'll do some watch parties. We'll watch some baseball games. We'll have some fun during the offseason. We're bringing back the film breakdown series, the first one on the board. Jordan Seaton, 5-star offensive tackle, just visited for the Georgia weekend, and guess what? Tennessee very deep in that one. Tennessee very much has a shot to land the 5-star offensive tackle. It's going to go down to the wire. A lot of people tagging me on Twitter and DMing me, asking me if I saw that ESPN predicted them. ESPN is the worst coverage of recruiting you could possibly follow. So don't put too much into that, but Tennessee is in a very good spot. We'll be covering recruiting, the transfer portal, all kinds of content coming your way this offseason, so don't you worry. Timothy McGee for another 5 says, okay, you mean to tell me they've been playing football for 7 to 12 years and their coach didn't teach? Is it on them or the coach? I don't Man, Timothy, I love you, brother. You show up, show out, show love every week. I don't know, man. Every situation's different. Every situation is different is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Leon DeHilt for 2 says, I just can't wait to have speed at the safety position. That is what has been missing, my friend. I think that's why so many people are ready to move on. We are ready to move on from Jalen McCullough. Let's we're gonna get into Vanderbilt. We're not gonna spend a ton of time talking about Vanderbilt. They suck. They are a horrible football team. They've lost 9 in a row. They are awful. Tennessee favored by almost 4 touchdowns. Let's just kind of put a little summary on this season, year 3 of the Josh Heupel era. A lot of people thought we would take a step back. Are you satisfied with 8-4? Are you concerned? Any questions? X, do you have any questions about Josh Heupel as we wrap up year 3?
No, man, I really don't have any questions, man. And it's what we've all been saying is that, look, this fan base just has to just calm down, take a deep breath, relax. We finally have a football coach now, a legit winning, like I said, mindset of a football coach. So just everybody just calm down. Like I said, I'm not going to, say question Josh Heupel just yet, because it could have been worse, because it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine at work. And, we were talking about the same thing about, moving on next season, getting ready for Nico and all that stuff. And he was like, well, he said, if you just look at it like this, like, yeah, even though, we're 8-4, but with this win against Vanderbilt, that's still 9, like saying, there's still possibly 9 wins or so. And then, like I said, then depending on what kind of bowl game you get, I mean, you're still kind of looking at somewhat like of 10 wins, somewhat. I mean, I know it's going to take a bowl game to get to that, but still, I mean, and think about it. Years and years ago, we were struggling to get even just at least 7 games, So that's kind of just the positive side of the end of this season, I mean, I know it's not where we all wanted to be, but, we got something to look forward to next season. So that's why this year, like for this season and for Josh Heupel, like, nah, I'm not worried, not concerned. Just let's get the future ready for Nico.
X is on that Steiner math. He's on that
I was sitting here.
Vanderbilt gets us to 8.
To tally.
Wait a minute. Like he was like, well, if we beat Vanderbilt in the first half and the second half, that would give us 9. And then the bowl, you count as 2. And then X said this.
And you have to not lose the game before you can ever win the game.
I'm never going to stop until X hates me, and then I'm going to regret everything that I ever did. Vanderbilt gets them to 8. A bowl game gets them to 9. But to put some perspective on kind of what X is talking about there, how many times this football team's won 8 regular season games since Philip Fulmer was fired? Anybody know? Anybody have a clue? 8 regular season wins. This would be the 4th. 2 of the 4 were Josh Heupel, 2 under Butch Jones. That puts a little perspective on it. And I know expectations shift. They changed. This is not what we expected for year 3. But if you had told me when Josh Heupel was hired, you didn't tell me about year 1 or year 2. You just said, hey, year 3, they're going to go 8-4 and have a shot to go win 9 in the bowl game. I'd say, all right. That would be positive, I would say. Scotty drops another $2 super chat, says get Jalen Wright his 1,000, then get Nico in there. What is Jalen Wright away? Is it like 70?
52, I think.
52?
52.
Wait, no,
58,
62.
like
62.
Yeah,
he's got 938. Yeah, I think he's going to hit it maybe on the first play of the game, if I was guessing. Looking at Vanderbilt's run defense. Diver, put some perspective on it. What do you think, Josh Heupel year 3? Is it fair? Is there anything that you want to question him on? Because I think that's fair.
It is fair. I mean, here's the thing. You talked about the expectations changing and moving the goalpost, moving the needle. That's what this team did last year. We're 4-0, we're 5-0, we're going undefeated into the Alabama game. We kept, and the media did it, the fans did it. We kept moving that, and those expectations for overachieving last year, getting the most out of, that offense, the scheme, having a quarterback that could run it the way it's meant to be run, with the spacing. And then you add in the tempo. Right now, I think you don't have a quarterback. He's got the skill set. He isn't quick enough to compute. And, when you don't run the tempo, the spacing and all that doesn't matter. It hurts having, missing Brew out there blocking for a lot of those little bubble screens and stuff on the edge. You get that one guy to miss on that first block, and that's something we saw last year. That's where Jalen Hyatt made his money and his mark, was the scheme and running wide open against Alabama, which I think he still is. But I think you've seen the potential of what this coach can do with a proper roster, the design, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I think this year offensively was not very creative. It seemed to be almost predictable and very mundane as composed to the video game offense that we've seen the first couple of years from Heupel. And I think it all revolves back to quarterback play. And I don't think that Milton was entrusted with the entirety of the playbook. So that shrinks it down. And just a combination of other things. The defense carried this team for so long, it was something I was happy to see, because that had been a weak point, and now the defense is stepping up and improving. All these people critical of Tim Banks, and that side of the ball is getting the job done. And in terms of overall scoring defense, the numbers and stats they've improved year to year to year. So I think at the end of the day, one of the biggest questions of Heupel was, can he recruit? I think he's answered that. He's bringing in the guys. I think you've got to have the right guys in the right spot. And I think next year there are a couple guys that are going to fill some holes that will help solidify issues that we've had this year, and help, especially offensively. We're going to get back to running more of the scheme and style of offense that I think goes hand in hand with Coach Heupel.
Let me hit a couple of super chats real quick. Timothy for another 5 says, isn't Banks a secondary coach too? Why is Banks not taking over both positions? It could be both of them that suck. Well, Banks coaches the safeties. Willie Martinez coaches the corners. They're not going to mix that up in the middle of the season. I've always thought that was kind of interesting too, that Tim Banks coaches the safeties, even though he's the defensive coordinator. I've always thought that was a little bit strange and odd. Ron the Don for 10 says the lower classmen players are playing and getting some good game time experience. Veterans returning, possible walk-ons, and NIL bids. We are in good shape. Plus NICO, Nico. I should have read that in Ron the Don's voice. I can't wait. Can't wait till the next fan call-in show so Ron can get on here and fire me up. Ron, you're the man. Appreciate the super chat, brother. Bob has been a member for 4 months. Man, Bob is a recent addition to this community as well. I love me some Bob. Always love seeing his thoughts in the chat as well. I will say, just talking about creativity, how much of that was goalish? Because there's a difference between, they're kind of dialing back some of the offense, but the lack of creativity, particularly in the red zone, is something that I wonder if that was some of Alex Golesh, right? Like the way they use Princeton Fant. Why could you not have used McAllen Castles in that way? And the only creativity we've really seen all year, outside of that stupid little shovel pass that does not work, like it worked early, and then everybody was on it, and then it was just Dylan Sampson making plays to make it work. The only creativity we saw was them putting, Dylan Sampson taking the direct snap, and then he hands it to Joe, and then I think it was a reverse to Squirrel White. Like, that's the only creativity we've really seen. But I think it's fair to question Josh Heupel's time management at times, his decision-making, in-game decision-making to kick field goals or go for it on 4th down. And I get it. Some of that's, gut feeling, right? It's like when we're on here talking about baseball and you talk about Tony Vitello pulling a pitcher. Man, it's all gut. It's all instinct of when you let a guy stay out there on the hill or when you pull him, right? As a baseball coach, that is a gut feel. And guess what? If you leave him out there and he gives up a bomb, why didn't you pull him? If you pull him and the next guy gets shelled, why'd you take him out? Like, you can never win in those 4th down and 1. He converts that. Oh, Heupel's got balls. Get stuffed. What an idiot. You should have punted. That's a no-win situation. So I think it's fair to question him on some of his in-game decision-making. I'm a Heupel guy. I'm ride or die with him. But Daubers is as guilty as I am. We're ride or die with every coach they've ever hired at the University of Tennessee.
Until
Until we're not.
Dan Dauber may be the worst. Like, until the wheels fall off, the wagon crashes, and then somebody's got to burn it down, and then they got to put it out just to make sure that somehow we can't still save it. That's me and Dauber. We're riding till the end. Matt, anything you want to question or just overall thoughts on Heupel through year 3?
No, I mean, if you'd have told me at the end of year 1 you're going to get 20 wins in the next 2 years, there's no way I'm not signing up for that. I mean, and if you remember last year, Joe was named the starter. So we were in the same boat we were this year. It just happened to be that they hadn't seen Hendon. I don't question Heupel. I don't question the scheme. I question sometimes the decision-making, like you said earlier. And I just question when you're going to go 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1, why in the world we go from the shotgun?
Just go.
I mean, I just don't I don't
Please.
understand it with 6'5", 245 behind there. I really don't. And if you watch the Eagles and the Chiefs on Monday night, I think the Eagles are something like 52 out of 56 on converting 3rd and 1, 4th and 1.
Wow.
With that tush push. I mean, but you don't even need it. Like, if you really don't need that, if you line up 6'5", 245 and get 1 inch. Those are the things I think that, you can go back and question. I don't love the look of kicking field goals down 30, 6-7 and 38-10 at the end of ball games. But, I think the thing that we go back, we'll look at the end of this year, when you go back and you're finished with it and the off season's in, is that there were just times in throughout this season, we just didn't have the dudes in the places that we needed the dudes. Right, whether it was injuries, whether it was execution, whether it was quarterback play. I mean, did you see the offensive line at the end of the Georgia game? I mean, and our depth, our depth is still just not there. I mean, you got to remember too. You go back. This is the first full recruiting class he gets where he's not got the lawsuit threatening the sanctions there. I mean, if you're a kid that's going to commit to a school, it's hard to go commit to a school when you don't know what's going to happen. So now he can sell what exactly is going to happen. There's nothing looming over his head. I expect recruiting to pick up. I expect, this team to get more depth. And as they get more depth, they're going to compete. Their top 11 on both sides can play with anybody in the conference. I say that even with Joe. But the backside 11 and the third guys, they're just not. And we had a walk on, in with Will Brooks in for most of the game. When you're at the game, you don't get any updates to why, they're playing. You just see them playing, and you can see he was a walk-on. He played hard, and he made some plays. I think he ended up with 6 tackles, maybe second or third on the defense, but the depth is still not there throughout the whole entire roster. And that's the thing I'm the most excited about to see through this recruiting class. He in his first year, he hit huge on the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm. He did.
You go back and look at those guys, the transfer portal was incredible. But the thing about the transfer portal is most of the time they're 1 year, one and dones. The transfer portal this year just didn't have what we wanted it to. Keenan got hurt, and we were all in on Dante Thornton. And he just didn't show up until the very end. And when he did show up, we got super excited again. He got hurt. It's been one of those years that, the X's and the O's may not have been the problem. It's just we didn't have enough of the Jimmies and the Joes.
And I love that Heupel won't use that as an excuse. Man, I like the Monday morning stream when I watched this postgame, the media was hammering him, like trying to force him into saying, yeah, we just got too many injuries. And he's like, this game does not care. This game does not care about your injuries. You still have to go out and play. But the reality is, it's the truth, right? You don't have the Jimmies and the Joes. Tamari McDonald gets hurt, so Jordan Thomas is forced to start. He gets hurt. I don't know. Was it like the second or third play? It was early. Third play. Early in the game, and then Will Brooks is out there, and JP's texting me, why in the hell is Will Brooks in the game? This is ridiculous. And I'm like, dude, one of these days I'm just going to show you a text thread. I texted JP today to see if he was coming on the show. When I opened the text, it's like 17 unresponded to messages of JP just yelling at me. And me not responding because I can't talk to him on game day. And I'm like, man, this is embarrassing for him. I'm sure he's at work, and he's like, oh, Boogie's texting me, and he opens it, and he just sees this full-page rant that I ignored. Oh, man, let's catch up on Super Chats, then we're going to jump into our predictions. It's Rome Baby. Says, my dad said the one thing that didn't make sense is we never ran a 5-yard hitch at all this year. Something to notice, especially with the quarterback play. They run a lot of those deep comeback routes. Like, I don't know if they're going 15, 20 yards and then coming back 10 yards. Deep comeback routes. It's Rome Baby again for 10, man. Appreciate the super chat. Man, he is just flooding the super chats right now. Says one thing he noticed is that the pick Joe threw could have been avoided if the wide receiver knew defensive coverages, but he don't think that they're getting coached on that whatsoever. If they did, we'd succeed. Timothy McGee in the chat's going to love this comment. And this is something that Jonathan Crompton talked a lot about when he was defending Joe, is that, you're running option routes. And there's kind of two sides to this. Are the wide receivers running the right option, and is Joe trusting them? Like, we talk about Joe being slow to read the defense. It's also almost like he's like, okay, what like he's clutching the ball. What route are they going to run here? And that's the problem with option routes. You got to be on the same page. A year ago, Hendon threw it. And how many times, I don't know if you guys remember this, last year when we would be doing post-game shows and we're like, what in the world, what happened there? And then you would hear Heupel in the post-game press conference say, we got to get wide receivers running the right routes. They have to read the defense correctly because Hendon's throwing to a spot because we're running option routes. Well, I mean, he didn't say all that, but that's the gist of it. And now we're seeing kind of, the wide receivers got to be on the same page as the quarterback. Everybody's got to make the right reads, and you've got to have that trust to let the football go, right?
It's a dance.
If you don't have that trust, then you're sitting there holding the ball way too long. And that's
Joe does not do that, at all.
Well, and then too, like Joe has his go-to guy, which is Squirrel. It's the same thing like with Hendon last year. He had Jalen Hyatt because Jalen's even showing it up in New York that he said that he can read, routes really good. And I mean, yeah, the brother's proven that. And I feel like same thing with Squirrel. Squirrel can read routes pretty good. So yeah, it's just kind of one of those weird things.
And the reality is none of us know. None of us know what the options are. None of us know where Joe's supposed to go with the ball for the most part. None of us know what the wide receiver is supposed to do. We followed up with another $5, says if the wide receiver knew the coverage, he could have stopped for an easy throw and catch in the flats. We're getting educated by Copeland through his son. I love it. I appreciate the super chats. Appreciate the generosity. My mind is still kind of blown by this, but we appreciate it. Scotty Hurley for 5 says Joe can't read the defense and get through the reads. Limited to swing screen or call deep shot. Can't find the middle. Need more Jimmies. No, wow. Need more Jimmies. No more Joes. Scotty. Follows up with another two. A
I see what
playmaker
you
quarterback
did
changes everything. We got one on the way. Don't worry. Timothy for another 5. Timing routes is better than option routes. It's true, but if you watch, they all holding the ball. They are holding the ball, Timothy says. All right, we're caught up on Super Chats. You guys being very generous. Appreciate you guys tonight. Opening up some good conversation there, man. That's some good conversation from an old VFL talking about wide receivers and the option routes. That's an interesting look. And then on the flip side, we got an old quarterback in Jonathan Crompton also having those same types of conversations. I love it when people that know way more about football than I know bring up good points, and we can talk about it, kind of discuss it as a fan base, because that's what this channel is. It is for the fans, by the fans. Nobody here is an expert. Nobody here is an insider. But we just get on here and talk about what we love, and that is Tennessee football. If you're new to this channel, smash that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, click that bell for notifications. We'll be live Friday morning. I will probably be dropping a video tomorrow on Thanksgiving. I'm hoping I got to work all day. I hope I got to get up and make a video. I hope Cam Michael chooses Tennessee, and we get to jump on here and talk about that commitment, although it sounds like in the final hour, Coach Prime in Colorado are making moves. So we will see. Matt Ray on VolQuest said there's some momentum there, and then AP comes in right behind him and all but said Colorado. So we'll see how that one plays out. Very interesting, because it seemed to me like it was Tennessee, Georgia, and now Colorado sweeping in the final hour. Timothy McGee for another 2 says our old quarterback can read the defense. Shout out to Crompton. I know he's not listening. He's probably telling somebody how great Joe Milton is, if I was guessing. All right, let's go ahead and make our predictions. Tennessee, Vanderbilt coming up on Saturday, the 3:30 SEC Network. Tennessee favored by 27. The ESPN FBI has Tennessee at like 95% odds, something like that, of winning this game. Dauber, give us your short, sweet keys to success and give us your score prediction.
Keys to success are, get Joe going early, because
Score more points.
Score more points. I think the running game is critical for this offense. We've seen it come up big in the games we've won. We've seen it be less than stellar in the games we've lost. I think Saturday after I think I threw my page of notes from the Georgia game away because I was
burnt them to the ground.
mad. But the four losses that we've had, I don't think we ran for over 150 in any of those games. Missouri was under 100. So I think that's critical for this offense. It's critical for Joe for the running game to be going, because that helps him out in the air attack. Defensively, I think we've got a lot of guys that are going to be able to kind of pin their ears back and hopefully have a good game, because Vanderbilt's frankly horrible. So we can exercise the demons of the past 2 weeks with a good showing against Vandy, beat down in Neyland to close out the regular season, and get ready to go bowling and carry some momentum into 2024, like we've kind of been talking about, and putting all our wishes and hopes and COVID year dreams for some guys returning in this show tonight that we've talked about. But I think Tennessee is going to come away with a big time win. I'm going 48-10.
I like it. You're right on top of my prediction. We're pretty close. Scotty Hurley for another 2 says here's a few more singles for Begley. Throw those $1 bills at Matt. We'll be here for it all night long. Coach Rice is in the house for $2. Says point blank coaching and execution have to be better. They have to be better. Coach Rice will be in the house Friday morning, 9:30 a.m. with myself and Coach Jay. That's going to be fun, man. We got to get Coach Rice to quit his job. He's got to quit his job, like win the lottery, something, so he can join me and Coach Jay every Friday morning. I'm looking forward to that one, man. That's good. That's going to be 2 dudes that know a lot about football, making me feel like an idiot. I may just read Super Chats and let them talk for an hour and a half. We'll see. Timothy McGee for another 2, like T. Martin, Casey Clausen, and Ainge. Those are some BFLs. But if you remember, Timothy, when we look at that Super Chat, when we're talking about great quarterbacks, people criticized all 3 of those quarterbacks. People were so critical of Casey Clausen, and I love the Iceman. And then he's gone. Man, it sure would be nice to have Casey Clausen back. Same with Ainge, right? And then T. Martin, it's like, well, he's no Peyton Manning. What does he do? All he does is go win a national championship. That's all he did. J. Vol for 5 says, I'll take 8-4 as a down year for Tennessee. 9 wins was Tennessee's ceiling in previous years. My keys to success: Tennessee runs for over 250. Joe throws for 200. Appreciate the super chat, J. Vol. I'll jump in on that. I'll go ahead and give my prediction real quick because it's going to be short and sweet. Joe ain't got to do nothing. Joe could not throw a single pass the entire night. He don't even have to put it in the air. Tennessee is going to run the football down Vanderbilt's throat because they cannot stop the run. They give up 176 yards per game on the ground as an average. 176 yards? You give up 176 yards. You've played Hawaii, Alabama A&M. You've played UNLV. You give up almost 200 yards a game. What's the magic number? Anybody want to tell me the magic number for Tennessee to win a football game under Josh Heupel? That would be 175 yards. Vanderbilt's giving up 1 yard more per game than that. Tennessee may run for 300 yards on Saturday. They are going to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball again, and they're going to dominate. I think this game is never in doubt, 45-17, and I hope they schedule some series for Nico. You got to start Joe. We got to support Joe at senior day, but I want to see Nico series 3 and 4. Series 4 and 5, something. I want something scheduled. Josh Heupel sat there in front of the media and said the plan was not to redshirt him, and then he sat up there this past week and said, well, because of the way the things played out, we got the Vanderbilt game coming up next week. We decided to not play him today. You better play him against Vanderbilt, and I don't want to wait until it's a blowout. I want you to get him in early, get him in often, and let Nico play with the ones, see what the future's all about. Matt, what do you got? What's your keys and your score prediction?
Did you give us a score?
45-17.
Huh.
Put it on repeat. Run the football. And please don't do what we did against Georgia and have Jalen Wright not touch the ball to the very last series at halftime after he goes for 75 on the first play and gets one more touch.
Can I cut you off for two? Because you just pissed me off.
Yeah.
You just pissed me off. Because that in itself pissed me off, right? That he takes it 75 yards, then he touched the ball one time. I can't believe I'm letting you derail me like this. But third down conversions was such a key in that game, right? Right? Mm-hmm. Such a huge thing. Second drive of the game, you had a 3rd and 3. You're the second best rushing offense in the SEC. Run the football. Third drive, 3rd and 3. Run the football. Nope, they throw it. Fourth drive, 3rd and 2. Run the football. They throw it. Fifth drive, 3rd and 7. That's when things start to turn. From there on, it's 3rd and longs. But your first 4 drives, first one was a touchdown. You had 3rd and 3, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, and you throw the football. 6th drive, you had a 3rd and 1. You finally ran it and you picked it up. I'm sorry, Matt. You triggered me, man. You triggered me.
And you can't cough up the football like that, which I doubt he's going to fumble it, but you can't be doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard the word inexcusable all week. And I think it's crazy not to have Jalen Wright touch the football more than 25 times on Saturday, unless the game's out of hand. I mean, he's the best running back in the SEC, to be honest. Yards per touch and yards per carry, damn near 8 yards a carry. I mean, the dude has been on fire. He only ended up with 9 carries and been 90 yards, 10 yards a carry. He only gets 9 carries. I just don't understand that. That's the one thing. If you go back to the decisions, but run the football. Hit some play action, hit a deep play. I'd like to see, one of the young guys, one of the young receivers get into play and make a play. And I agree with you. Scheduled appearances for Nico with the ones, whether it's 3rd series, 6th series, 9th series, whatever. But get him some run. It doesn't matter anyway. It's only his 4th game, so you're not going to hurt the red shirt. And then let's get back to what the Tennessee defense has done all year long is get after that quarterback. Turn the edges loose and get Nealon rocking and knock Vandy out of the, I got it 48-14 with the over and going and getting the points too.
X, what do you got, buddy? Take us on home.
All right. So combining all 3 of what you guys basically just said, I'm going to piggyback off of it and agree. Yeah, man, it's senior day. Got to recognize Joe, respect Joe for what he's done for this program as far as staying taking the leadership role. Yes, I understand that it's not the year that we all wanted it to be, but hey, at the end of the day, the man stayed for us. He played in the orange and white. So whatever his future is in the NFL, wherever he decides to go, whatever he wants to do, I'll salute him. 110%. He definitely is a ball for sure. But yeah, just key thing for him, man. It's like I said, just like we've been saying all year, just be Joe. And yeah, you don't even have to just put the ball in the air. Just hand it to the running backs. Like I said, look, Jalen Wright's he's got to break. That's about 200 for sure. Just run the ball over Vandy, and then let the wide receivers let them run loose. Let them play freely. Just this whole team in general, man. Just go out, have fun. It's your last game of the season in Neyland, so just don't take that moment for granted. Like I said, and then yeah. So I'm just going to sum up with this. I'm gonna go ahead and say, balls. Give me a double big pals with cheese, 60 on them
Ooh.
with 12.
Double
Gets a little,
Big Pal with cheese. What
yes,
about the
sir.
bacon? You don't want the bacon on the Big Pal?
I mean, if you want to add, like I said, like what I'm saying, you want to add a little field goal to it, sure. That's the bacon on it, but
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah. But nah, yeah, I say yeah. Give me a double big pal with cheese, 60 points to 12 against little brother. Yeah, let's run little brother out of the stadium for sure.
Do you know what will change your mind? Like I'm a Pal's guy. I love a Big Pal with cheese and bacon every day of the week. Sign me up for that. That's why I'm fat, because I love me some Pals. Did you know that you can go to McDonald's and you can get a quarter pounder and you can say, hold that mustard, hold that ketchup, and give me the Big Mac sauce?
Yep.
That's life changing.
that.
Give me a quarter pounder with cheese and bacon. Hold the mustard, hold the ketchup, and give me that sweet, sweet, sweet Big Mac sauce. That'll change your life. You'll put on the pounds real quick. That's why I only show from the chest up, because I eat too many of those. That's life changing. All right, we're gonna wrap it up with that. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us on this Wednesday night, talking a little Tennessee football. Coach Rice, been a member of this channel for 21 months as my Talkin VAWLS family. Can't wait till Friday, making some bold predictions. Go Big Orange, man. I'm looking forward to that show. It's going to be fun. Man, you guys, I love this community. I know I say it all the time. It's Thanksgiving. Let's get sappy. Let's turn it into a Hallmark movie. Man, I'm so proud of the community that we have built. A thing that started with me and JP and Snake, and then we rolled to the Indy Kid. And then I remember the conversations with Darby. He's like, dude, that is so out of my element. I'm like, just come on, hang out. You love Tennessee football the same way we do. And there were moments where Darby's like, I don't think I can do this. And just all the transitions and the changes that this channel's been through. And now we've got this ridiculous community, man. And guys like X and Matt coming on here. Coach Rice, like Coach Jay, obviously a huge asset to this team, man. Dustin Sellers coming on for post-game shows. Everybody that comes on the fan call-in show, like Bob, Ron the Don, Tom, everybody. Man, I love this community. I'm grateful for this community. You want to support this, you want this thing to keep driving forward, consider hitting that join button down below. You can give $1, you can give $35. You have all kinds of options, all kinds of perks and benefits, but if you like it, consider jumping on board. Jenny drops a $2 super chat, says, Tennessee fans, please don't boo Joe on Saturday. I'm with Jenny. Do not. Let's show some love to Joe Milton on Saturday as he runs through that tee for the last time. But that is going to do it for this one. Hope you guys all have a good Thanksgiving. Eat a lot of turkey and spend some time with your family. And hopefully you'll be right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network hearing Boogie talking about a commitment from a 4-star wide receiver athlete, Cam Michael. I don't feel confident, but you never know. Anyways, for Dauber, for the X Factor, for Matt Begley, my name is Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
That's all.